think we're good to go. Quite a few people with their sound on and everything.
This is ready to go, right?
It's good to go. I'm pretty sure it's good to go. Let's just check. Yeah.
Or maybe I'll tab back into the PDF. It's probably in the Zoom. Just click into the PDF. Just click on it.
Yeah? You mean you're going to go out? There we go.
Yeah, I think you were clicked in Zoom.
Okay.
Click back into the PDF and then it recognises we're in that one.
But I will make sure that it actually shows that on my screen as well.
Ah, okay. It should.
It should.
It should.
Yes. Goodness. All this technology, I tell you, it was so much easier before BC.
Pretty much.
BC. Before COVID. Thank you so much for coming in, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. I'm so glad to see we have the IT specialist ready.
Oh, yes.
He saved our day. He saved my bacon the other day. I almost cried. Cried later. So thank you so much, Anastasia. We love having you present for us. As a thank you, please put some beautiful flowers to brighten up your day.
Thank you.
Yes, no, they are absolutely yours. So for the people that are at home on Zoom, if you have any questions, you can type it in via chat. I'll be your representative in the room. So make sure, please, that you are muted throughout. Otherwise. And that is it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and good morning to the people we have on Zoom. Welcome. My name is Anastasia. Now, who have I met before? I know I've met you, Joanne. Who's heard me speak about this before? No one? Good. Who's tried to declutter before and failed? Constantly. It never ends. And just out of interest, in terms of timing of the year, who is ready to declutter now? Like it's November 21, I think it is today. I think it's ready to do it now this time of the year. Yes? What was your comment on this?
Oh, I thought you meant November 2021, but November the
21st. Yes. So this is a good time.
We're moving out of house anyway, so
you're what, moving?
Moving out.
Ah, so perfect time.
For the old place.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll revisit this at the end of the talk. So
that's why I've been pushed here.
You're not ashamed, are you? All right, so welcome again. My name is Anastasia. My business is called Mood Design, and I'll talk a little bit about who I am, why I give these talks, and we'll touch a little bit about the psychology of clutter, what it does to our mind, why we collect it, and I'll give you 8 tips at the end of the presentation on things you can implement, like small tips that you can do and make it part of your habit and lifestyle to keep going. You may like to take some notes, so if you have access to pen and paper, great. If not, I've got some note cards here at the front and spare pens. Would anyone like some now? Yeah. And you have pen? Thank you. Right. It's blank on the back, so just scribble on that. I'll leave them on a chair. I'll leave them on the chair. If anyone else would like more, yourself. So, let's kick off. Did you know that the presence of a suitcase or a briefcase in a room can make people behave more competitively, even if they have no recollection of the briefcase being in the room? So it's been scientifically proven that just the presence of an object like that in a room can affect our behaviour and our thoughts. So if that's the power of something like that, think about your own home and think about the things that are around your home that not only you use every day, but the things that you don't use and how they're influencing your behaviour and your thoughts. So a little bit about my journey and who the hell am I? What do I know about clutter? I've gone through it, and I've gone through it quite a few times. So I went through a journey back, gosh, almost 10 years ago of downsizing. I lived in a 3-bedroom home. I was married. I went through a divorce, and I had this 3-bedroom house on a large property that I was maintaining by myself. That I decided this wasn't the life I wanted to live, and I wanted to downsize and move closer to the city. I found myself a 1-bedroom apartment and all this stuff that I was like, what do I do with it? I also had things, I guess, related to my marriage. I had, wedding albums and photos and stuff that we had together that I did not deal with for 10 years. I think I left it there. I just kind of hid it in the spare room, and it was still there. My wedding portrait I had wrapped in bubble wrap, and I had it hidden behind my tall boy. That whole 10 years I knew it was there, but I couldn't bring myself to deal with it. So it wasn't until I settled on this 1-bedroom apartment that I was like, okay, I physically have to deal with this stuff. What do I do with it? So that journey, I was time pressured, probably similar to your moving house experience without all those emotions that I had. I gave myself, it was about 3 months, it wasn't much time. So I had the time pressure, I had to deal with the emotions, and I had to get rid of all this stuff. So I started bit by bit. And I started on the generic pieces of furniture that were just taking up space. I started putting things on Gumtree, people were collecting it, I was getting money, which kind of motivated me to do more. And then towards the end was more the emotional stuff, the albums, the photos, the portrait. And that was hard. The wedding portrait was hard. It was, a big portrait would not fit in a wheelie bin, so I had to destroy it. What do you do with this? Wasn't model material. And because it had been kept for so long, it was out of date. Obviously can't solve the frame even, but it was just ugly by that stage. So dealing with that, I'm going to need to throw this out. So I cut out our faces because I didn't want my photo, you don't know where our rubbish ends up. I cut out our faces. I just with it. What was that? Repurposed. Good on that. So I eventually got rid of it, and it took me a whole weekend to think about. Most of the time was like preparing myself mentally to deal with it, to throw it away. But I'll never forget the feeling of throwing it in the bin, and I felt like I just breathed this massive sigh, and I felt like this weight lifted off my shoulders. And I know it sounds corny to say that, but it literally felt like my body language, everything just relaxed. And I was like, oh my God, I've held on to this in my house for so long. So that feeling was, I still remember it to this day. And every time I struggle to throw something out, I think about that feeling. It's like, the memories are still there. The memories will never change, will never go. I still remember the portrait. But that feeling was like, I need more of that, because that felt freeing. So I've gone through the detachment, and when I say detachment, I mean emotional detachment. Declutter. I've since learned a lot about colour psychology and feng shui, because my business is an interior design business. But I'm very interested in teaching people about the psychology of our environment. So how do these, not just objects make us feel and the clutter, but how do the colours in the room affect our psyche? And how does the lighting affect our mood? So I'm much more interested in that type of thing. In 2014, so this was a year before I moved into my apartment, I went on this trip to Nepal. And when I landed in Nepal, I was met with shock. I was very out of my comfort zone. I thought, what have I done? I haven't done enough research on this place. It was a shock to the system. It was not what we're used to here, and we're so privileged. I spent a month in Nepal, and by the end, I didn't want to leave the place. And one of the strongest messages I took away from Nepal was these people do not have much, and they are the happiest they've ever been, and they don't know any different. And here we are, paying money to go on treks. We take our we buy our $200 hiking boots and our Sherpas are in flip-flops doing the same walk that we are. And it was very humbling. So I came back from that trip ready to move into my apartment, remembering that message that you don't need much to be happy. When people ask me my why, I've thought a lot about this, and my broader business is about to inspire a balanced life through living less. So I believe we can have, the same emotions that we have with everything to live a happy, meaningful life. Like, we don't need all the stuff. You can find sources of happiness in other things, in experiences versus objects. In 2017, I submitted my first interior design project, and I won my first award for it. So just a little bit of background about some of my projects. So that was exciting, validating, very motivating to keep going. This was the project that I won it on. So this was a house in Wollongong. I used to work with the girl, so through word of mouth, she found out what I was doing. And the brief here was to furnish the home that had just been extended. So the challenge here was that the husband and wife had two completely different tastes, and that is very common. One of the most common questions I get. So the challenge here was just to meet in the middle between their styles, and it won me the award, so I was happy with that. The following year, I won finalist award for home styling as well. So home styling, again, is a lot about emotions. You're selling a feeling to home buyers that are walking through the home. So you need to think about colours, materials, lighting, and the combination of what they do. When I talk about colour psychology, you'll find in home styling or in really good staged homes that they use cooler colours, especially because we're in the southern hemisphere. They're much more calming and cooling, whereas warm colours like that canvas on the wall, which has got reds and oranges and yellows, they're warming colours. They can be quite heating and activating, which is fine at certain times of the year or in certain countries. But the message here is you want people to walk through a house and feel good about it. So, who can relate to these comments?
Yeah.
I need more storage. I've got nowhere to put my stuff. I need a bigger house. And we get these things and we keep wanting more. Does it sound indulgent? No? Not to everybody. We'll see if I can convince you otherwise by the end. The Australian storage industry is worth $1.1 billion. People today are spending an average of $250 a month to store stuff in a shed that they hardly ever visit or use. So I read an article just the other day, a very recent one, and there was a quote from the people saying, we know we've got the stuff in there, we haven't visited it in 12 months, we're paying for it, so they're aware. But there's this hurdle to overcome with dealing with the emotional attachment to these things. So think about what you could do with that money. But what if I said the problem is not storage? What if I said it was you?
Are you saying that they should be getting rid of it rather than storing it? In other words, going the whole of it, rather than delaying the decision about what they're going to do with it?
Yeah. So if you haven't used something in a year or 2 years, you need to question, do you actually need it? What value is it adding to your life?
If you have a business, as we have for many years, and the law says that you need to keep records for several years, but it's very hard to do that.
Yeah. There's exceptions to the rule. Yeah, obviously you can't change the law. You're obligated in some cases. Yeah. This image I've used, so ignore the people in it, the 2-parent, 2-kid family, but for me, I've used this image just to convey what a typical life should feel like, what you still feel like. For me as a kid, when you think about your weekends, I would hope it feels like this, but it actually feels like this. Does life feel like that for many? Where you just non-stop, you don't have a moment to just catch a breath. So there's an imbalance here. We've got not a lot of time and we're getting very busy and we've got all this stuff at home. But when was the last time you had time to spend at home to appreciate the things you have, to actually enjoy them? You know, these nice gifts that you were given ages ago that are sitting in a cupboard because you don't have time to use them. So realise this, we have excess stuff, we have very little time. So there's an imbalance there. If you have storage, you will fill it. I get clients all the time that tell me I need more storage. And I'll help them with it, but not before questioning or challenging them, going, do you really? Because if you get storage, you will fill it, it's guaranteed. Clutter causes stress. It's scientifically proven that clutter increases our cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So the minute things are at a place or start congesting a room, it starts to increase our cortisol levels. Clutter is emotional.
Sorry, can we take photos of you?
Yeah, perfect. Clutter is emotional. These are things that are just things, they're just objects, but there's an emotional attachment to them that we have. Clutter indicates a couple of things. It indicates a fear of, or holding on to the past, or a fear of moving forward. So if mindfulness is living in the moment right now and we're constantly stuck between the past and scared of moving forward, then what does that say about you? Now I'm going to play a game. This is going to get quite interactive, and for the people playing at home, feel free to unmute and call out words when I say to, or you can use the chat box to make your comments and Sirana will call them out for me. So I'm going to show you 4 slides, and the 4 slides are going to be 4 very different images of interiors. I want you to call out the first word that comes to your mind about how it makes you feel. So not what you see in the image, but how you feel. So we're going to move through this quite quickly, so I want you to call out the first words. All right, are we ready? Yeah. All right. How do you feel?
Busy.
Right.
Open.
Busy, open,
Light.
light, bright,
How do you feel?
comfortable, happy,
Luxurious.
luxurious, yep. Formal. Any entries from the people on Zoom? That's okay. We'll move through the second one. Wow.
Relaxing.
Wow, relaxing.
Where's the volume switch?
Where's the volume switch?
Colourful.
Not too much.
And I use 3 words.
Yeah.
Italian bathroom.
Happy.
Happy, yes.
Last from the past.
Interesting thing here, because I haven't had kids in the room before. The kids straight away said fun. The adults went turn the volume down. So it's been designed, actually, it's been designed for kids. So I'll just talk, and I'll go back to the previous slide. I just want to talk about the elements used here. So they've used the complete colour palette, number 1. They've combined patterns with stripes and plain as well. So there's a combination there. There's a mix of elements. So there's the soft rug, soft textures there on hard flooring. There's a massive bright red wall there. But I think it's balanced well with the white wall and having lots of bright light coming through. So I think it's done quite well. It's evoking feelings in you. So this is intentionally designed to evoke energy. And it does that for kids. And it might be the right space for adults for short periods of time if you need an energy boost. But sitting there all day in a room, reading a book or something might be a different feeling. Might give you a headache by the end. I'll just go back because I missed it on this one. Some of the words he calls out here are intentionally a reflection of the elements again. So in here, there's a lot of symmetry, a lot of patterns, a lot of even lines. The palette is quite neutral. So the whites, the nudes and the timbers, the materials are natural. So it evokes those feelings for a purpose. And there's a lot of natural light coming in. Natural light is quite calming. All right, slide number 3.
Oh.
Busy, messy, stressful.
My office.
There's always one.
Oh.
Clutter.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. And I usually get the size. As soon as I play this slide, people just go, oh.
Disorganized.
Absolutely. There's not much natural light. There's no coordination of palette or materials or anything. Everything is out of place, and it doesn't make sense. I think someone in a previous session saw some food somewhere. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yeah, I know. The more you look, the more you see things, and they're just random things that don't belong. So the fact that these things don't belong and it's not making logical sense is also adding to our feeling of overwhelm.
But we're not the person living in there. They could find it makes perfect sense to them.
I know, but you're only seeing an image of this too. You're not even in the space and you're going, ugh. So imagine if you were in the space.
It's interesting though.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the last one.
Start.
Futuristic.
I'm saying start.
Start, futuristic, ooh, clinical, cold, yeah.
Modern.
Yeah. Modern.
Someone saying sterile online.
Sterile, absolutely. Someone said clinical too. So this is also just to convey that even though it might look neat and organised and clean, it's evoking the, it's going to the other extreme. It's not feeling homely and cozy. So decluttering is not about stripping back and putting everything away. There's a balance here for our emotions to feel good, for us to feel comfortable in a home. There's no soft elements here. There's no colours. It's just black and white. The surfaces are cold. The tapware is all metal. So, and even the lighting, bright, cool lighting. And there's a difference between cool lighting and warm lighting in terms of how it makes us feel. Cool is a lot more energizing, more for task-based things. If you want somewhere relaxing, warm lighting is better, so this is not doing that. Tony Robbins says this really good quote, your environment primes your thoughts. And not just your physical environment, obviously the people you live, the TV shows you watch, but your interior environment absolutely affects how you feel. And you guys have only seen the images. If you were physically placed into these rooms, those feelings would be enhanced, inflated.
And cool lighting can affect your sleep patterns as well.
What was that?
Cool lighting
yes.
can affect your sleep patterns.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's a certain, and I go into this with another talk, and I do have a blog post about it. There's a certain time of day where cool lighting is more effective, and then warm lighting is more effective as well. And that's the reason why they have, what's the setting called on your phone? Where it switches off the blue light and goes to the warm light. Yeah. And that's intentional for a reason, to help us, our body wind down. A couple of projects here I want to show you. This was a home I staged in Auckland Flower, and we had to do a bit of decluttering here. We used the clients, some of the clients' furniture. So with staging, it could be a complete blank canvas that I use, or it could be a partial stage where they want to use some of their furniture. So you can see easily here, I've taken away the patterned couch and the patterned rug. It was very busy, and even the armchair there, like there's all these different patterns there that just aren't making sense. So I've toned it down just by going plain colours, neutral palette. And then the other thing this client had was she had a love of plants. Like plants filled that whole wall, and that extended out to the kitchen and dining area, and it was just filled with plants. And her girlfriends were there the day I was doing this job. And the girlfriends are whispering in my ear going, tell her to get rid of some of those plants, it's too much. So again, plants are calming. They're great for improving the oxygen, the air quality, but there is a balance. So what we did was keep some plants, but we wanted to see some floor space because it gives a perception of a more spacious area. And this was a house in Paddington. This was quite cluttered, or not overly cluttered, but there was just lots of objects that didn't really make sense, and the colours were dark. So she said to me, I just want to come home and feel like I've got somewhere to relax, and I'm not relaxing. So straight away I introduced that natural jute rug in a light colour, because all I saw when I walked in was like 50 Shades of Brown, I call it. Just beige on brown, on brown, on brown. There was nothing breaking it up. So a simple addition of a rug broke up all the beiges and the browns, but it also defined a zone, so it gave the sofas somewhere to belong. Like you can see that's the living space, not just items of furniture just floating in a room. That's how it felt. And then the addition of the armchair, so a white colour to introduce more light in the room. So white or light coloured materials help to bounce light around in a room more. So we wanted to lighten that space up, and we just got rid of a few other things, relocated some of the artwork, and that was it. And of course, I have to mention that professional photography does help as well. So we're going to get into the 8 steps. The first one is removed, and I touched on this earlier. So ask yourself 2 things when it comes to decluttering. Does it actually bring you joy? And I mean, pick up the object and just notice what it does to your body language, to your emotions, to your gut. Is it actually bringing you joy, or does it just feel like, you know, another thing? And is it useful? Have you actually used it in the last 12 months, 2 years? This could be defined by you. I say 12 months. If you can't answer yes to both of those questions, then it's got to go.
What if it's just an ornament though?
It's about what it means to you. So
Yeah, but you're not going to use it every day.
if it's out in your home and it's on display, and if you pick it up and you know it's bringing you joy, you actually love the item, then by all means keep it. If it's just a thing that doesn't mean much to you, then I'd question having it.
When you're in the house in the first place, like why would you bring something in that doesn't give you joy?
That's right.
Yeah, just like
Yeah, it's just an opportunity to question everything that's snuck its way into your home.
Sort of having trouble with that because an ornament is there for a purpose, to add something functionally
so
or,
it's useful.
So it's useful.
yeah,
Then what's useful?
but you are bringing into the house knowing you're not going to pick it up and cuddle it or all that,
No,
you know.
but do you actually like it? Do you appreciate it? Do you love it? Like I've got all
I don't buy it, I don't like it.
Okay.
If I get it given, they're going to be calling in once a week, well, I'm reluctant, probably got to put it out somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Otherwise, it's recycled. That's
And
what I do with gifts like that.
yeah.
So, anyone here want to recycle an ornament? No. But,
If you bought it and you like it, then and you've got it on display, then that's useful. And
when you
like
get
it.
sick of it, you
Yeah, and I think that's key too. Like you might grow out of it, you might move on, but we get used to having these things in the home that this is just a check-in point of let's start revisiting some of these things. They've been around for a while. I did that recently to 2 candle holders that I picked up 10 years ago from Byron Bay, and that whole trip meant a lot for me. But I brought some new candle holders in and I didn't have room for both. And I'm like, all right, we need to revisit this. Like, yes, it was a nice story, but I don't really like it anymore. But I've kept them there because they suited the space. So I just got rid of them. So it wasn't useful.
Is it like your wedding portrait as well? You loved it at the time.
Yeah.
And 10 years later you didn't love it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And we just move on. It's just part of evolution.
I've sort of got a lamp post in Melbourne. So I bought one of my first pay packets and it was a sale in an upmarket store called George's in those days. And it's no longer around, of course. But yeah, and I'm really finding it hard. I'm using every excuse to still keep it, you know.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
it's pretty much near the right colour. I've changed the lamp, but yeah, it's probably really due to
Okay.
shipped out.
Yeah.
Sent to somebody else.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like it might be that time.
yeah.
Number 2, make it routine. So decluttering is not just about a once in a lifetime event where you revisit all of your life accumulations. This is about making a habit, and to make a habit means rewiring the brain and making this part of your normal lifestyle. For me, I do this every season, every 3 months, because for me that's a chance to revisit the wardrobe. You know, what am I going to wear this summer? I didn't wear this last year, so it's got to go. I'll move some winter stuff back in the cupboard. It's just an opportunity for me because I'm in the wardrobe, I'm reviewing things. It can be every year, it can be every 6 months, whatever you choose to make it. Commit to it and just make it regular. Put it in your diary. And then that also means that you won't be coming to the seminar. So you will have smaller tasks to do. It's not so overwhelming. Number 3, recycle. Donate the items to a charity or DIY. There's, you know, if you're that type of person, look on Pinterest, YouTube, Google, and repurpose or restore some of the things you have.
I always say that that's the big problem for me. I think, well, I can change this in some way, and then I just end up so much ready to change that I never change.
That's why I've got my warning on the slide. Be realistic. If time is a struggle and you don't have time to DIY or renovate, it's got to go. So yes, good point. I have all the hopes in the world, and I think in my mind it's going to take, 5 minutes, and it takes 2 weeks. Yeah, go get it. Regift. Someone mentioned regift already. Regift it to someone that could use it. I don't mean just giving away your garbage, but if there's someone that you know that would value from one of your items that would make them happy, think about a smile on their face rather than what you've got to lose. Like, don't think about, oh, this meant so much to me, or we're attaching to those memories. Rather, think about the act of gifting and what it means to the recipient. Wrap your items, donate them to a charity. Christmas appeal, perfect time of year to do that. Or sell it. Simple. Facebook Marketplace is so easy to use. Gumtree, I'm always on there. But getting money for things motivates me. I actually got to the point before I moved out of my house where I was looking for things to sell. What else can I sell? Not money driven at all. Number 5, repurpose. Get creative. This is great if you've got kids. Repurpose your items. So use spare linen for teepee covers. Repaint old vases. There's someone I follow on Instagram she hashtags it trash to terracotta. She makes all these vases she buys from Binnies for like $2 and $1, and she paints them terracotta. They look amazing. Give old furniture to a handyman to restore it, bring it back to life. So if you can't do it yourself, give it to someone to do the job for you. And create space for fun. Turn a dining table into a table tennis table. Yeah, ping pong table. It's about using the items, like finding a double purpose for the items. And I've said here, camp out in your living room. So it's not really decluttering, but it's about introducing fun into your space. Did you have a question?
At our school, we have an assessment that we have to repurpose an item, and we're repurposing some old pair of jeans into like bags and phone holders.
That's awesome. Great habit to make. That's awesome. And what have you done with yours?
I'm thinking of turning it into jeans, a bag.
A bag, nice. It's a cool looking bag, a denim bag. Number 6, remove. This is probably just as important as decluttering itself. Physically remove the items from your house. So whether you're regifting, donating, selling, take them out into your garage, outside, but do not leave them there, or you risk creating a bottleneck. I had a few people at my last talk saying, yeah, I've done all that, but they're sitting in garbage bags in my garage. That clutter is still, when I talk about increasing your stress levels, you still subconsciously know there's stuff there that you can't part with. So you need to put them in your car boot, because then you've got to get rid of them. Number 7, categorise. So it's been proven that when you declutter, we usually go by room, but it's actually much more effective to declutter by category. So let's say one weekend you go through and do your clothing, or another weekend you go through and do magazines or books or that sort of thing. So if you sweep the house and do a sweep of that, that's much more effective. Now, I'll say to this too, I've got this checklist that I give away with my declutter challenge. There's a process as well. So I talk about categories, but there's also an order. So it's been designed in a way where you start with the least emotional items. because psychologically you're creating a habit in your brain and you're getting much more comfortable with detaching of things. So that's why you've got things like clothing and books at the very start of the list. And then you've got photos and journals and souvenirs at the end of the list, because they will be the hardest. But by that stage, you've gotten to the habit of it. Now, I'm not saying, when I say declutter, I'm not saying get rid of everything. There's things that you might love. You might be a book lover that just loves books, or you get joy from books and you read all the time. That's fine. I'm not saying declutter everything. But just find what makes you feel good and find things that you use a lot. Use that. And number 8, the final one, is support. Build a support tribe, recruit your family, get the family motivated, and turn it into a fun challenge. So one of the ideas I used to share was about picking a number and giving everyone a number and just telling them, go out and find. It could be a 3 free challenge. Find 3 things to donate, 3 things to sell, 3 things to regift, for example. Like you could give your family or your kids, go out and find 10 things this weekend. MC, you said to me earlier about 2020, you used the year of 2020 to do 20 things.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
Including the bin.
Yeah. So 20 to
20 in the bin, 20 donated, and 20 onto Gumtree in a weekend.
Yeah. So it's a really good way of not overwhelming yourself and thinking, I've got to do all this in a weekend. It's just about starting. One point here that I added last time, because it comes up at every session, is about considering landfill and the environment. So I know family who are really good at throwing things out and buying new things and keep throwing them out, and it's plastic and it's toys, and I question, do you really need it? Do the kids really need it? Think about landfill. I suggest selling it. I suggest donating it to hospitals if it's things like toys, for example. But just be mindful of landfill. So, if everyone in the world was decluttering, then the dumps and the landfill would become a problem too. Yeah, they need. Well, I think you need to bring it back to the start of the process when you buy things and bring things into your home, just be a bit more mindful of it. And decluttering will make you more aware of that. I offer a Facebook group as a community, so it's called the Home Designers Community. I've had people share their before and afters of their decluttering weekends and challenges, and it's just motivating for other people to share your story. You can also ask for advice on there as well. I have a blog that I talk about a bunch of things around interior psychology, whether it's cluttering, decluttering, lighting, styling tips, anything like that. And I have a workbook that also, this is all about how to create a home that makes you happy. So one of the things in there is about clutter. Some of the other things to consider is about patterns and lighting, using nature in your interiors. That's really, I call it a workbook because it actually makes you work. It'll question what you want to achieve for your home. How do you want to feel in your home? And then you go through a process of working out by the end what things you need to bring into your home. So what colours I need based on my personality, or I need to declutter this type of stuff, or patterns. I know these patterns are stimulating, so I need to get rid of them in the bedroom to make it more calming. So it's a workbook that you work through that helps you do that. And I also have, if you need help with doing your own interior design, I've got some online workshops as well. The first one, what I mentioned before about if you want to decorate and redesign your home, my philosophy is about not just following the trends and doing, painting the wall green because you saw it done on the block. It's about tuning into who you are and your personality and designing around how you want to feel. So that first workshop, the design intro, is all about defining your style based on your family, your personality, and then the other workshops build on that. So once you are clear on what you want from your home, then the next few workshops will help you design around that. It's about defining your vision. So just exclusive to the Building and Design Centre, I've got a 50% off discount. If you use the code BDC on the website, you're welcome to check out some of those online workshops, and that ends next week, so 30th of November. So the Declutter Challenge, if you're serious about decluttering, I run this online twice a year. Once on the 1st of spring and once on the 1st of January. It goes for 10 days, and how it works is you sign up, you get one email, as in one task to complete every day for 10 days, and that's all you have to do. And it sounds simple, but a lot of the hard work is with you. It's about committing to it, and I know that, you know, one task might be hard to accomplish every day for 10 days, so you can save on to the emails and work through them, but I recommend just one at a time. And after the 10 days, or the 10 emails, then that should help you reach a less cluttered situation at home. So that starts on the 1st of January, and that's totally free. And that's my presentation, just some links to contact me. At the back of the room, I've got a piece of paper. If you're interested in any of what I've mentioned today, feel free to complete that. There's some flyers there as well if you need to get in touch for anything. I'll open up the room to questions. How are we going for time? Quarter two. Cool. Any questions?
That challenge, what are the tasks like? An example of the tasks?
Yeah, that's the first.
Like how big are the tasks?
The first one is about preparing your mindset. And I give some motivational content in there. But the first couple, I think, are just preparing your mindset for doing it, which won't take you long to do. From day 3 onwards, it's more about some of the categories that I talked on.
Okay, so it's not like go and clean out your living cupboard.
No. And then, it's been a while since I saw it. I think it was like day 6 or day 7, I give away the checklist. And then I just leave you off to do your decluttering in that order. And then you can come back and continue on with day 8, 9 and 10. So 9 and 10 and day 1 and 2 are quite light on, but the meaty part is you actually doing the decluttering. But I'll give you things to focus on for different themes or categories in that middle part of it. Yeah. So it might take you more than a day to do. That's why I say just bring up the emails. As long as if you're going to sign up to it, just make sure you commit to it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've just put a question online, sorry.
Yes.
DM is saying, what if you are renting and you possess furniture that you want to keep for future home?
That's fine. If it's furniture that you use and that you love. So the question was, if you're renting and you've got expensive furniture that you want to keep for your next home.
It's basically cluttering.
It's cluttering the apartment. Yeah. I think if your goal is realistic, that you know you've got the home in mind, it's definitely happening, then that's obviously a reason to keep the furniture. If it's something that you think might happen or you hope might happen, I'd question it. The challenge there would be, you know, if the sofa must stay, then think about what else you can remove around it to reduce the clutter, because that will obviously feel a bit stressful while you've got it there.
There's just one more, and I think it's quite important. Cheryl is asking, what if you don't have a problem but your partner wants to stuff going?
What if you don't have a problem but your partner has a problem?
Get rid of the
Yes.
partner.
Maybe you should have a partner.
Declutter the partner.
De-partner.
Yeah. Could be a whole new talk. Oh, this comes up every time too. So before you start the challenge, okay, I'm getting a refresher now. The first couple of emails is about defining your vision. It's about you need to be on board, on the same page with your partner about what you're trying to achieve out of your future and your home. What are you trying to create here? Once you can agree on that, then that should be your reason, or the reason to help you decide whether things stay or go. Like, it needs to meet that vision. You know, if you're about, I don't know, we've just moved in together, we want to start a family, we want the place to feel calm, we do entertaining, we both work from home, that sort of thing. It's about, let's be clear on what items or objects will align with that vision. The other thing I get related to this question is about, you know, you could have a partner who likes to play computer games, for example, or collects things, or has tools, you know, I mean, and I'm not saying it's the man, it could be the female too. Agree to find a place or a zone where those things can stay. If they're genuinely sparking joy for your partner, you don't want to take that away from them, but agree on a zone or a room in the house where those things stay. So it's about having a discussion about, you know, the vision that you want to create, and then if the things have to stay, then agreeing on where in the house they belong. I hope that answers the question. It's quite a curly one. Did you have a question down the back, Elliot? Yes.
Yeah. I'd just like to go through that list you had.
Yeah.
Can you put that slide up?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll just put the slide back up with the checklist. Did you have another question relating to that? No? Okay. Anyone else?
Interesting that you ordered them with clothing and shoes and jewellery and stuff like that, right, as the easiest things. But jewellery, for instance, has a lot of attached emotions often. So
True.
it's just in there, you know.
True.
And souvenirs could be just like, yeah, it's just interesting.
It's different. Yeah, it's more of a general list, but yeah, it could be different for different people. And I mean, jewellery, I should probably clarify, would be like fashion jewellery, and then there's heirlooms and things that have been handed down that would be a different category.
Just a really good quality jewellery.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
So what's a good way to actually dispose of good jewellery that still has some value but no longer emotional value?
Yeah, so I sold my wedding rings, ring and engagement ring. I went to the jewellery places where you get them weighed, got a price that way. Wasn't a good price, and then there's the option of melting it down. I ended up selling it with a valuation on Gumtree. Someone bought it for his life. They were going to melt it and reshape it, but with the valuation it was credible.
Diamonds, like a diamond engagement.
Yeah, all of it. Because to me it was just holding on to that energy, and I just wanted to part with it.
Or melt it all down and make just one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're keeping the jewellery because it has value to you, but you're not wearing it, make something else.
Do you think it's easier for two people to declutter rather than as against one person?
It depends on whether you're on the same page or not. Yeah, like what I was saying before about you need to be in agreement about what you want out of your home, how you want it to make you feel. And then the decluttering choices need to align with that home that you want to create.
As an example, with regards to the differences of opinion, yeah, that's going to happen throughout your life anyway, isn't it?
It will.
But I find that I need someone else to motivate me to be there, and B, to help with the dissemination of it too.
With your decluttering?
That's right,
yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, I'll never ever forget the day that I had a lot of things from 15, 20 years, even stuff I brought up from Melbourne in 1993, this is about 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of them were things well past the 7-year limit, of course, too, that's the other thing. And it wasn't business stuff, it was personal stuff. And we sat down and got the stuff. I sat there, he sat there, he produced it out of a thing and said this, and I'd say, no, yes. So we had a bag to put the rubbish in and keep. It was really only rubbish.
Yeah.
And of course, The worst thing is though, and I often ring him up after and say, where did you put such and such? Because I've always got the feeling,
You haven't done it.
yeah, that I haven't put it away, and sometimes I do that. But other than that, that is a really good way I find to,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
might need to enlist the help of a professional organiser or
Well, I was going to
declutter.
ask about that guy on Living with Peter Walsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought his book the other night. Well, it's not quite the same book. I don't think that it is on decluttering, but it's another issue more in the mind, actually. That, but he's pretty good the way he gets.
Yeah.
But he gets everyone to do everything, don't they? They take it all down to a church or somewhere and then put it out. And they've got to aim to get down to about a quarter of it or something.
Right.
You know, and then, but
That's
it's so emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't have the emotional thing. They wouldn't have him in the show if there wasn't going to be a bit of emotion. So, that's, you know.
And I think that's what a professional declutterer organiser would pay a lot of
Very
attention
sensitive.
to, because
Very
you can stress people out or overwhelm them by going too fast for them. So you need to make sure you're mentally prepared before you get into this.
I'll never forget one. He had a lady who was on her own, a young lady about 35, say, and she'd been left. She had a maiden aunt, and she left her everything. Well, you can imagine what a maiden aunt would have. Probably not a lot of classy stuff, I'd say. But anyway, the other thing was she was finding it awfully hard to, she had left it. No, seriously, she'd been left some stuff. She found it very emotionally hard to start.
It's a big deal.
Thing with it, and that's jewellery and things like that are one of the big things for that, aren't they? Really?
Can you recommend some decluttering people?
Yes, I've got a couple of contacts that I can share with you. If anyone would like the contacts, if you just write your details at the back and just put a comment about decluttering experts, I can email them through. Yeah.
And how did you go from a 3-bedroom to 1-bedroom? That's fascinating. That's huge.
Do you know now, I've been in that 1-bedroom for 5 years and I don't miss any of the stuff. I think about it occasionally, like when I'm decluttering, and I don't miss it. And if anything, having less space has made me more careful not to bring any new things in my home. And I'm actually of the mindset now that I think I've got everything I need. Because I got rid of all that stuff, I'm not using it. So really, this is all I need. So when I talked about we start being mindful about the things you bring into your home, and when you're buying things, I'm actually buying less. I've got nowhere to put it, number one, but I don't need it. I have everything I need. It just shifts your whole mindset.
Those new countertops.
You said what?
Those new countertops.
Yes.
I justify my purchases and say, I'm helping the economy. And other people wouldn't have jobs.
Supporting businesses.
Actually,
No, I need to sell the old one. It's sitting in the cupboard. I'm thinking about it now.
We've been our home for 43 years now, so obviously we've got a lot of stuff. And in all my workshops and my stuff, I've always been filling the motors and I've got even some antique stuff in there. And I love it, but I have got a mess every day. I do have a bit of a mess.
Can't get in the garage with the car.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to take you 10 days.
Oh no, it's but we did declutter this last month. Our daughter, her husband, and 3 children moved out with all their furniture, so we put our house back. But there's still a lot of stuff there. You'll fill it up. There's still there's still
giving you a kickstart, like a bit of
oh, there's still got a lot of stuff to take, but it's getting there, and we've got a couple of engines. I've got this beautiful room we have in this. We're sitting back there. We've just got a couple of objects, no, not those two. We've got some beautiful old roll cane.
Oh yeah.
And they're basically throwaway. I actually totally restored them some years ago.
Yeah.
And the cane came back absolutely. You would have thrown them away. Came back beautiful.
Did you keep them?
Of course.
Yeah.
I had them all recovered and put in springs and everything.
There you go.
Fantastic.
So if your kids hadn't taken their furniture, you would never have done that.
No, we couldn't get into that room.
Yeah. There you go.
I've even had my stereo gear in this particular cupboard. I couldn't get to it. I couldn't actually turn it on because it was just they're stuck in front of it.
Wow. Good story. Do you have a question? Oh, there's something else. Yes,
I'm wondering how other people deal with the the loss of a loved one just left things behind that have sentimental value, and some of those things are not necessarily things we want to use, but that represented that person that meant a lot to us. How do you let go without feeling that that person would cringe if they thought that you threw them away?
You know, I'm going through that at the moment. My grandmother passed away in December, and Mum is going through this process, and she's finding it really hard to let go. She has a spare room full of the stuff, and you know, I have to be really careful because I'm going, you know, you need to get rid of the stuff. There's so much crap in that room.
My daughter's saying exactly that. My mother passed away 3.5 years ago, and we were really close. And what it means to me is not what it means to my daughters.
No.
And they keep saying, throw out all that crap. You know, and to them, that's, excuse the word, but that's what they think it is.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
for me,
that represents the emotional
yes,
attachment.
but they can't understand why
yeah.
I can't let it go.
Yeah.
Or I haven't been able to let it go.
I would probably say that because it's an emotional process, it takes time. And my wedding portrait, it took me 10 years. So similarly to what you're going through or what my mum's going through, I know she's not ready now. It hasn't even been here. So I noticed when I would bring it up, she'd get quite upset and stressed and overwhelmed, and I was like, okay, back off. I know in time she'll be ready. She may not want to throw some of that stuff away, but I've noticed over time she started at her own pace to throw things away, like, you know, clothing, what she's holding on to.
Oh, I've managed to get this clothing, but all this handiwork and things like that, and even some things for my grandmother.
Thank you.
And oh, I think, oh, what do I do? If something happens to me, my daughters would just put it in the.
Yeah.
Is there no one in the family who appreciates any of it, or that
No,
gets
there
it
might
as
be
well?
other things these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Can you take photos of it and make an album out of it? And then just give the stuff away, so that you've actually got a memory of it, but something really
So
tangible.
yeah, if space is becoming an issue, then that's a
Might
good
end up
idea.
having too many albums.
Otherwise, I would just say give it time, revisit it regularly, but just give it time. And you'll notice over time that certain things may not, you won't, the attachment there won't be as strong.
Already, I'm feeling as though there's less attachment.
Yeah.
But then I have pressure. My daughters are saying, "You have that room there. That could be quite useful." But
That's
all
me
you
with my
do
mum.
is keep doing these things. you
Yeah,
know.
I've just
So
learned
there's
I need to
that
just
kind of-
respect her process, and everyone's got their own timeline.
And it's purely
You
emotional.
just got to
There's
do it at
nothing
your
else to
pace.
it. All those things are things I will never use.
And you might get to that realization, you know, in another year or 2 years. But I think just go at your own pace. Notice your emotions. I should say this when you go through this process. Notice what comes up for you. You might not be ready to do this, and you might need to stop and just, you know, pick it up again another time. If it's something like that, then, you know, if you're feeling things like overwhelm and stress, then just stop and just go, I'll get back to that when I'm ready. Oh, question. Sorry, you had your hand up for a while.
What if when you're decluttering and the kids and the adults, they don't get along, like,
Guess who has the final say?
and then they have something Facebook and just like get rid of the thing, like they're telling us get rid of the old controllers. And I'm like, that gives me so many memories of my own
Yeah. You're gonna have a chat with your parents and come to an agreement on that one. But I think someone has the final say. Good question. Sorry. You go.
Just earlier, you said something on Facebook, the home designers, and I didn't get the last word.
It's called the Home Designers Group, Home Designers Community. It's just, if you just search Home Designers, you'll find it. I'm conscious of time. Are we past 11?
It's 12 o'clock.
Oh, 12, sorry.
I think we'll just invite the, for the onliners, I'll put the Zoomers, and then you can ask them for a chat.
Yes. Anyone that wants to stick around, I'll be around for a little bit. The Zoomers, did you say there are questions?
There was one person that actually said really something beautiful. One useful thing I've heard in regards to inherited things from loved ones is that would the person want you to feel burdened by these things?
Yeah.
Think about that
Fine.
question.
Thank you for raising that. That's a really good perspective. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope it helps. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. Which one did
You are. With that? Yeah.
So, yeah, answer questions. Oh, hang. Yeah, I'll just. Yeah.
I know you have another question. Sorry.